Let's move along to our next guest. Big weekend for him last weekend in Atlantic City, finally getting another chance to fight in his home state of New Jersey. What a show it was against Cub Swanson, the rematch. It was emotional at times, but most importantly, he got the W. We have been bothering Frankie Edgar so much over the last few months. I honestly feel bad for having him on again, but I can't help the fact that he's constantly in the news. So let's talk to him one more time. Let's go to the phone lines and say hello to Frankie Edgar. Frankie, are you there?
Ariel, what's up, man?
How sick are you of talking to me at this point? I think it's like the 10th time you're on in like the last few months, but it's all very
Oh,
worthy,
no.
right? It's always a lot of like stuff going on in your life.
I guess I'm kind of hot right now, man. I don't know what it is, but no, it's always good talking to you, Ariel. How you
Like,
doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing very well. I'm very happy for you. I know a lot of people question your decision to come so soon, and to return after the Ortega fight. And I know you addressed it very well on this show. But could you tell us now, after the fact, at any point did you doubt your decision? Did the naysayers, like, did it seep in at all? Did you say, like, you know what, maybe this is a little too soon? Did you just not feel like yourself at any point leading up to the fight?
Not really. There's always doubt. I mean, no matter what, I never doubted myself that I'd make it there or didn't want to change my mind. But there's always doubts. I mean, that kind of what motivates me, at least, knowing that those doubts can be real. I've been in situations where they became very real. So, those doubts are always going to be there.
What was that training camp like for you? Like, did you feel like you couldn't go? Because I even recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned on the show you talked about sparring, but then you went on Twitter and clarified it because maybe some people were questioning your decision to spar so much. Did you feel like you had to do less because you were coming off your first knockout?
I just wanted to be smart about it. I just wanted to also, I had the suspension. I was just honoring the suspension and being smart about it. But yeah, no, I mean, I was once I was cleared to go, I felt fine. And it probably was good for me anyway.
It's always interesting to see how a fighter responds to their first knockout in the first like 2-3 minutes of the fight. Did you feel like you kind of had to get over that hump? Like, were you thinking about it at all? Were you a little gun shy?
I don't know if I'd say I was gun shy. I mean, just the fact that I didn't want to lose makes you a little like more attentive, I think, at times. But I just I wasn't worried about it too much. I felt confident in my training, and like I said, I call it a knockout, but I wasn't knocked out. I got rocked. I never went even halfway out. I definitely got rocked good though. That's about it.
Do you feel like it worked to your advantage, the fact that you fought this guy already 25 minutes, wasn't that long ago? If you're going to come back relatively soon, might as well come back against a guy that you A beat and B not, you beat him not that long ago. So he's somewhat familiar, right? Did you feel like it felt a little bit like deja vu for you in there?
I mean, the fight went totally different, obviously, but I mean, it was definitely a good situation. They mentioned Cubs to me, and I do have the win over him. He's still number top 5 in the world, so why not run it back?
So you say that it went differently. Obviously, it was a shorter fight, but did you feel like his game plan in this fight was better than the first time, or does it cancel each other out? How would you compare him this time compared to the first time?
I think that the first time he went more, went after it. He stepped in on his punches a little bit more. Sat down a little bit more. This time I felt like I had to. He wasn't engaging as much. He wasn't looking for that one big punch. And I think in the first fight he was looked for that several times.
Huh? And why do you think that is? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. Maybe he's just worried about the takedown. When you don't commit your punches, you become a little bit harder to take down. So he did a great job of that. So.
Overall, how would you assess your performance? I mean, you got the win. You seemed a little bit, critical of it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm always critical of my performances. Usually, I was upset I didn't get a takedown. I'm not upset, but, whatever. I mean, if I couldn't get the takedown, I got to beat him, on my feet, and I was able to do that. I think a lot of the reasons why I couldn't get the takedown is also the reasons why I was able to beat him on the feet. And the fact that I kind of always look for takedowns too in the middle of a fight, kind of keep guys guessing.
Was there any part of you that said, let's just get the W here? We don't need to make it flashy. We don't need to have a highlight finish. Let's just get back on track?
I mean, I guess in some sense, I'm definitely not trying to go out there and put my chin in the air and slug it out with Cub Swanson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was looking for the takedown. I knew that worked last fight, but this time, I had to keep my range, make sure I stayed in and out and didn't stay in front of him too long. So I think we accomplished that. Of course, I'm going to be critical always.
11 years since you last fought in your home state, and it obviously meant a lot to you. And you even said on the show last time that that's a big reason why you wanted to come back. Does it feel different when you're fighting at home? And it's one thing to fight in Newark, it's another to fight in Atlantic City, which is way closer to Tom's River. Do you feel a little more nervous in those fights when you're fighting so close to home?
It just felt like I was fighting in AC my first, 5 fights in my career. I seen it like everybody in the crowd I knew. I felt like, running up, you try to not focus on anybody in the crowd. I'm not one of those guys. I try to kind of just focus on what I'm about to do. And I couldn't help but be like, damn, I know him. I know him. I know him. Like personally know him, not just know who they are. So that was definitely a little different, than my previous fights. And it was cool though. Everything I thought it would be, man, to be honest with you. The way the crowd was responding, good performance. My kids were there. First time they were there. That's something I'm gonna remember forever.
Yeah, that was really interesting and it was beautiful to see, especially in the victory. How did you come to that decision with your wife to allow them to come to the fight for the first time?
They're bugging me. My boy, my daughter stayed home. My boys, they're bugging me. They want to go. They want to go. I'm like, I kind of play it by ear. I'm like, fuck it, let's go, let's do it. And I got to have my one son up on the open workouts. It was cool. Who knows when I'm gonna become. It's been 11 years since I've been in Jersey, so didn't want to pass this opportunity up.
And especially fighting in front of them, did you find yourself thinking about that? Like, man, I can't slip on a banana peel here. My kids are in attendance.
I mean, I think about when they're home anyway.
Okay.
I guess a little extra maybe because they were in the crowd, but man, it's like I said last time I talked. My second son,
Yeah.
he'll tell me what I did wrong and tell me I'm tell me what's not going good. So yeah, I definitely think of that.
Yeah, and you even referenced that in the post-fight interview that you hope your son doesn't get on you too badly for your performance. So what did he say to you when you saw him afterwards?
Yeah, he said good job. He was pumped. He got to walk back from the cage to the thing. He felt like him and my oldest son for child. They felt like I seen some pictures of them. They're cheesing like they're celebrities. It's so funny, man.
So no critical pointers afterwards. It was all positive.
It was all good. Yeah, I think he's kind of feeling the love. So it was all good.
What a thrill it must have been to do those post-fight photos with them in the back and to go through like that whole circuit that you have to
Yeah,
go through after you win a fight. That must have been so much fun.
yeah, that was awesome, man. It was everything I thought it would be. And now I'm never my kids are gonna be like, yeah, we're coming to the next one, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it ain't Jersey. I don't know. They're tough to deal. My kids are animals, to let you know. So I literally was like, I have to have my boys to kind of help me corral them a little bit. But I was yelling. I feel like I was yelling at them the past 2 days, or before the days before the fight, just constantly yelling at them all the time. So, but it all turned out all right.
By the way, those early Ring of Combat fights, were those also at Boardwalk Hall?
No, the reality fighting. I fought reality fighting once, I believe, at Boardwalk Hall.
Okay,
But
so
ran combat as a Tropicana.
did it seem familiar at all? Like, did you feel like you were walking into a time warp? Like, holy crap! This 15 years ago, I was starting my career in the same arena. Did you recognize anything?
Actually, when I fought in Boardwalk Hall, they have like different room. It was like the auditorium or a different room. It wasn't the big stage. So I
Okay.
never got to compete there. And I've said this before too that New Jersey State tournament, the high school state tournament is there every year. I think since the '90s. And in my 2 years in '99, 2000, when I wrestled in the states, the place was getting renovated, so I never got to wrestle on that big stage. So
Uh,
that was another plus. That the fact I get to run it back there.
Unfortunately, you announced a couple weeks before the fight that your dad had passed away. And again, as I said to you, I'm really sorry to hear that. I know how close you were with him. Did you consider not fighting as a result of your dad's passing because it was so close to the fight?
No. I kind of made my mind up. My father, he got diagnosed with cancer on Thanksgiving. And he was told, not the best news, but you never really know what to expect. So, it kind of happened pretty fast. But no, I kind of knew what could have happened. And I made that decision to stay fighting.
And if you don't mind me asking, what kind of cancer was it?
Esophagus cancer.
Oh.
My dad smoked for most of his life. Maybe not the last 10 years of his life, but for most of his life smoked. So I think that got him.
Oh, was it something because you had the fight, you kind of were able to focus, but now that the fight's over and like the buzz is gone and everything, that the reality is sinking in? Is it harder to deal with almost now after the fight than it was immediately?
I mean, this is the first loss, like a big loss I've had in my life, so it's all kind of new to me, to be honest with you. And definitely the fight, kind of got my mind off. But I had, I mean, I was driving down to Maryland for about 2 weeks. I was training in the morning, drive to Maryland a couple hours, hang out, drive back, train again. I did that for a couple weeks, and then my dad passed. We had, the wake and the funeral. So all that definitely keeps your mind off of things, But like you said, you got the buzz of the fight and tries to help soften that blow. But it's just something you got to get. Just it's going to take time to get over.
That's where he lived. He lived in Maryland.
He was living in Maryland. Yeah, he was living in Maryland, and he had a house here in Jersey. He was kind of flipping time. He worked in Maryland.
Okay. And he was obviously very present at your fights. What was it like to go through the fight without him being there?
Well, no, yeah. My stepfather. That's who most people know that come to my
Okay.
fights. That's my stepfather that comes to the fights. My real father's the one that passed, and he's been to a couple fights, but yeah, he doesn't come to all of them.
Okay. I apologize for that. Sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
no. It's okay.
but again, very nice words afterwards, and I can't imagine fighting, through that, and especially, that soon. So again, my condolences to you and your family. Now you're back in this situation, Frankie, where it seems to me like the UFC should do you a solid, and you should fight the winner of Ortega versus Holloway. Do you think that that's what's going to happen? I know that's what you want, but do you feel like let's just forget about what happened in March? We're back in the same spot.
Yeah, I'm down with that, Ariel, man. I mean, I still think I'm the guy. I
Yeah.
mean, shit. I risked that shot. Maybe I shouldn't have, like people said, but I'm gonna do it every single time. 'Cause I still believe I could win that fight. I was doing well in that fight. Obviously, I got caught, and Ortega did a good job of finishing. But yeah, I want the winner, man. I think I deserve it. I'm number three. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
Did they say anything to you afterwards? Any sort of insight into what they're going to do?
No, nothing yet. Nothing yet. We'll see. Maybe if there's talks of what will happen, I don't know. I think I'm the guy. Especially you think I'm the guy too, don't you?
I think you're the guy, man. I really do. I really feel like they owe you this one. You've been screwed around with before, and you come back. I kind of feel like you helped out that card. I mean, we'd have to look at the numbers, but I can't imagine you didn't help out with ticket sales to come back so soon. It felt like you were the main event. With all due respect to Lee and Barbosa, and there's no like who's the top guy at 145 now other than you? Like who deserves it? I don't see anyone else at the moment. Some guys who are threatening, but you're in that spot. And plus, on top of it, great story both ways. You finally get that shot against Max after two fights falling through, or you get the rematch against Ortega. And the first fight was very entertaining. I mean, I feel like you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I agree, man. Everything's got to work out the right way, I guess. But I did my part last Saturday. I'm glad that's why I jumped in quick because I want to be back knocking on his door, and here I am knocking on his door. I think I'm the guy.
Now, I know I asked you this last time, but just curious, are you hoping Max wins so you finally get that shot, or do you want revenge against Brian Ortega?
Ah, man, I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Either one would be great. As long as we get that title on the line, I'm all in. But yeah, of course, I'd like a chance at Ortega. But I mean, if Max wins, Max shows that he's the man, and I want to go beat the man.
I kind of feel like your chances are multiplied if Max wins because it's the fresh matchup and everyone wanted to see that fight already twice. I kind of feel like you're a shoo-in if he wins.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, but you don't know. You never know, right? I mean, I'm always game, so that helps.
By the way, have you seen your coach Mark Henry over the last couple days?
Yes, yes, I have.
Did he happen to say how depressed he was, staying up all night about the Buffalo Bills and their draft pick? We've been texting. I mean, my wife thinks that like we're having an affair. We're texting so much, him and I commiserating together. Did he happen to mention this to you?
Oh yeah, I was texting with him the whole time. Probably in between texting you, he's texting me. I'm not a big football guy, so a sports guy really, but I definitely had to see. I mean, I kind of knew what happened, so I had to poke the bear a little bit, ask the
Oh,
Bills shows.
That's not cool. He was so sad, man. Holy smokes. Then he put me on a group chat with his son Pino, and we're trying to make him feel better to cheer him
Oh
up.
man.
He calls me on the FaceTime, and I'm trying to cheer him up. And man, it's he's really devastated. Next time you see him, if you see him today, give him a hug because I feel like he's really down in the dumps.
Uh, but you're a Bills fan too, right?
Yes, yes, but I was keeping it together. I had some
Yeah.
perspective here. He
Yeah.
thought the sky was falling.
I know. It's tough. It's tough being a Bills fan. I'll tell you.
It is. It is. It is. But anyhow, I'm really happy for you guys. Congrats on proving everyone, including myself, wrong, and congrats on the victory. Not to say that I thought you were going to lose this fight, but I was a little worried about the quick turnaround. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know you get mad at me sometimes for putting out that poll and all that stuff, but you shut me and everyone else up. How could we, if there's one person that could do it, it's you. And we'll never make the mistake again
Yeah,
of doubting you.
that's it. It kills me, man. I'm gonna stop following you journalists. I think
No.
'cause I see the shit the week of my fight. Drives me nuts. I see something else like, oh, someone did like some research and said the people that come back within a certain amount of time only like 15% win. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I don't want to see that right now. Come on, you guys are killing me.
I know. I saw that on ESPN.com. That was Fightnomics. He did a whole breakdown of it. You saw that?
Yeah. Well, glad I'm in the fucking top 13 or whatever it is, baby. So I'll take it.
Why do you go on Twitter before your fight? That just seems like a recipe for bad news.
I try not to. I try not. I try to just do it. I use Twitter like a newspaper. Like I'm just looking at some of the news and stuff. But I try not to. I try not to do fight stuff. I try to skim through it, but sometimes can't help it, man.
And that one slipped through the cracks and you saw it, you must have been super pissed. Or maybe motivated,
Oh,
more motivated.
oh damn. Yeah, a little both. Maybe both. I'll take it. But hey, got it done.
Don't trust the media, Frankie. That's my number one piece of advice for you. You proved us wrong. Well done.
I tell you what.
Congratulations. Yes, please tell me.
No, I'll tell you what. That's fucking some good advice you just gave me.
Except for us over at MMA Fighting. Thanks as always. And unless something crazy happens over the next couple months, I will not bother you. I promise. I really truly feel
All
guilty
right, we'll
about bothering you, but we'll see what happens. I can't
No
promise.
problem. No problem. No problem. Ariel,
Talk to you
always
soon.
a pleasure, man.
Talk to you soon. There he
Take
is, the
care.
one and only Frankie Edgar. He proved all the doubters wrong. All of you. He saw your articles. He saw your tweets. He saw your negative remarks. He knows you didn't believe in him. And he told you all to shove it where the sun don't shine. Frankie Edgar, how about that? What a win. Less than 2 months removed from his loss to Brian Ortega. Comes back, does the damn thing. Now right back where he was a couple months ago, number one contender in the 145-pound division. Who else is there? You tell me.